As RPG fans, we've come to expect a blend of strategy, character building, and engaging storylines. And thanks to the developers for giving me this game for free, so that means I get to dive into this creature collector RPG and tell you what it's all about. And as always, see if it's worth your time. Necro Story is a creature collector RPG where you play as a necromancer who's less concerned with heroics and more focused on, well, the standard definition of being evil. It's not a typical save the world kind of story. Instead, you'll be building a team of quirky minions, collecting souls, and, making your army stronger. It's also a game that leans into strategy and a good dose of humor. The combat system is split in between spellcasting and auto-battling with creatures. There are 5 necromancer skill categories, and you can freely switch between the spells within those categories. You have cooldowns on each spell, so there's a bit of planning involved, and you'll also rely on a melee attack to help regenerate your mana if you happen to come up short. Now, the creature collecting element adds a second layer to the combat as an auto battler. You can control up to 6 creatures at a time, plus 3 more if you actually do the summon spells. You can customize their abilities, like how often you want them to attack or never attack, and equip them with items, so the battles are semi-automated. Now, the story is really engaging with a lot of humor and charm. I was drawn into the world pretty quickly, and the concept of playing as this necromancer who really just likes to see people burn is pretty fun. Now, the first half of the story is really well paced and keeps you interested, but I have to say the second half does feel a bit scattered, maybe even a slog. By the end, I was actually really conflicted with how I felt about the game, which is rare for me, especially in a game like this, which I'll touch on that more in just a second. Going back to the variety of spells and the creature building is honestly one of its biggest strengths. There's enough customization that keeps things interesting, and it's rewarding to experiment with different combinations. You're looking to do different things with your creatures, like all tanks, all healers, something like that. I actually ended up going with this really cool summoning spell build where I just summoned a lot of zombies or skeletons, and then I had healers as my backups. But fret not, there's way more builds than just that to go through, so it's actually really fun. Exploration is pretty fun too, at least in the first half of the game. I think when you're on Earth, you come across various puzzles that unlock secret chests and areas, and it's a nice way to break up the combat. The second half feels like the first half, so there's not a lot of things to change things up, and I think that's really what slogs it down in the second half. Now, the biggest issue I encountered, and this is important to know before you start playing, so if you plan to get this game, you need to listen to this. It's that if you die in battle and retry, the game never tells you that your playthrough is practically void from that point on. It only becomes clear near the end of the game, which for me was really frustrating. I was 11 hours into this game before it told me that it was basically pointless that I continued. So if you do play, be mindful of this right from the beginning. It can save you a lot of time. I do feel satisfied with just one run, even though the game is encouraging these multiple kind of playthroughs to reach the ending, which is just, to me, it's just very odd coming from an RPG creature collector. So would I recommend Necro Story? Absolutely, with a few caveats. So if you go into the game knowing not to die or retry in battle, it's a fun experience overall, because then you'll actually experience everything the game has to offer you. The humor, strategic combat, and unique necromancer concept are enjoyable, and the game does enough to keep you interested for a while. Plus, it's only $15, and you get well over 10 hours of content on this, which is just fantastic for the price value. Hey, if you found this helpful, feel free to give the video a like, and if you're interested in more thoughtful reviews and any game recommendations, or new Steam games that happen every week, consider subscribing. Check out this video or the playlist to also see more stuff from me. As always, keep gaming and stay awesome.